Okay, so we'll do a little welcome, the CCL connection before content. Then Ron and Ashley will take us through values, missions, policy, that good stuff. And we have an excellent guest speaker here tonight. We can finally find out what the hell Noel does with 90% of his time. So this will be very good. And still manages to give 90% of his time to the stuff we do. So thanks, Noel, for not sleeping at all. Appreciate it. We'll talk a little bit about Hawaii updates, and then we'll get into national updates. And so that you folks can also stay as busy as Noel, we'll talk about some actions you can take. Oh, there we go. Okay, so connection before content. So actually, I probably can't. So the question for tonight is, what would you, sorry, I can't even read it now. What would you like to electrify? So I'll take us off. So you can put your thoughts in the chat if you would like, or feel free to speak out. So anything you would like to electrify? Oh, very excellent, Ruth. Any particular part of your husband you'd like to electrify? Ah, okay. I wasn't sure if you wanted to tase him or you wanted to... Okay, excellent, excellent. Sorry, a little bit slow here. Your car, very good. I'm sure there are a few other people here who wouldn't mind getting an electric vehicle. Noel will give you some tips on that later. Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Okay. Heat pump, heater, air conditioner. Okay. I thought you wanted some of the yard equipment electrified, Virginia.
Oh, we actually have all electric yard equipment, but I don't use yard equipment. I use rakes.
Good, good.
I've not even made that transition. I prefer manual rakes and brooms.
Okay, so sometime in the call, just send the link to where you bought it to Helen, who wants to do this. So, oh, and Ashley, I guess. Okay.
Oh, they're everywhere. We just went to like Home Depot, Ace Hardware.
There you go.
Oh, okay. An electric weed whacker. Well, we have one you plug it in. It's electric. Do you mean electric with a battery? Probably.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
So there's this line of equipment. Yeah. It's called Ego.
Yeah.
Ego Power.
Ego. Yeah.
And the beauty of it is that it's got this battery pack, or variety of battery packs, but they're all interchangeable. So you can use the same battery pack for your weed whacker, for your chainsaw, for your hedge trimmer, for your blower. It's the same battery pack, and it's night and day compared to a gas one. The gas one obviously is it's all the vibration. It's very noisy, and then you've got this exhaust, right? That like virtually poisons you as you're doing the yard. So definitely the way to go.
It is. That's what we have for the lawnmower, and the blower, and it's great. Ego.
Excellent. Well, we'll see if we can get them to sponsor our next statewide meeting. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for playing along. Great to see you. Good to see you, Gordon. Sequoia, we'll see you at some point, hopefully. Good to see you there, Eric. Okay, let's see, back to the slideshow. Let's see if I can get it up a little bit faster this time around. Let's see. Hey, there we go. Okay, so Ron, do you want to take it away with who we are?
Oh, yeah, sure. Who are we? Well, I think this august group has been to prior meetings, so I don't need to belabor all the points here. Various things resonate more with very different people. One of the ones I personally like is the nonpartisan nature of Citizens Climate Lobby and the fact that we're involved with solutions rather than opposition to various things. Paul will talk about, I think, or Ashley will talk about the focus that we have on climate solutions, and we are optimistic. And I think many of us have become more optimistic over the last week or so. Yeah, that's all I would like to say there, Paul.
Okay. I assume your optimism is around the Olympics. But
there you go. Yeah. New Zealand won some medals, I should
excellent.
say, too. Yeah.
But a little disappointing with the rugby, I guess, right?
You know, I haven't been following it.
Oh, shame on you.
Okay. Who beat them?
I don't know, but I didn't think they got the gold. But
maybe not. So anyway. Our mission is basically a two-parter, creating the political will for a livable world. Hard to argue with that. It gives us plenty of scope. And we do it by helping individuals get active, as they say, experience breakthroughs in their personal and political power. Personally, I had never called a member of Congress until I joined CCL and learned how to do that. Now I'm a liaison for a member of Congress. So there we go.
Yeah, not only done an excellent job with that, Ron. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's fun.
Okay, Ashley. So what do we support?
And I think most of us here are familiar, but in case anybody's watching the recording, our key policy areas are carbon cashback, so carbon fee and dividend, which we think is a just solution that all of the economists agree with. We also want to electrify all buildings, so bringing clean energy future to all of our businesses and residents here. Healthy climate also needs healthy forests, so that's really relevant here where I am on Maui. We have Haleakala with a ton of forestry. And then finally, clean energy permitting reform. So, you can generate all of this clean, renewable energy, but you need to be able to get it to where the consumption is. So the permitting reform there is really important. CCL was just doing a lot of work around that the last month or so, which I know we're all familiar with. But so those are our main policy areas, although CCL National does give us a lot of leeway to support what's really right for our state and our regions. So this is our guidelines, but what we typically stay with. Back to you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed, right? Yeah, I am, esteemed guest speaker. So Noel, I'm going to stop sharing and welcome, Tamara. Good to see you.
Thanks, everybody.
First of all, thanks very much for this opportunity. I'd like to say that I think we had a truly esteemed guest speaker who was not able to respond to our invitation. So I stepped up and I figured, I probably have to explain my absence from a number of the activities that historically I've been involved with as far as this group is concerned. And I thought I'd share my recent experience with this company, Sustainability Partners, and how it connects with our mission to enable a more sustainable and livable world. So this is about Sustainability Partners. I'd like to say that before I joined this company, I was involved in quite a few organizations, all related to clean energy, sustainable transportation, community resilience with the Red Cross, STEM education with Next Tech Hawaii, clearly Citizens Climate Lobby, and our local organization here. And all of this was because of this passion of mine to facilitate the necessary changes in our economy, in our macro behavior, all with the intention of enabling a truly livable planet, right? A sustainable planet for, my kids, my grandkids, and future generations. About 2 years ago, I was approached by a company, Sustainability Partners, and they had just gotten this contract with the state to electrify the fleet. If we recall, a few years back, there was this mandate that all state procurement for light duty vehicles and medium and heavy, where possible, that they would need to be zero emission. So there was this tranche where it had to be zero emission. If there wasn't one if there wasn't a battery electric version, it could be a plug-in hybrid, it could be a hybrid, that sort of thing. So the state granted this company a contract, a 10-year contract, to electrify the fleet, and they needed somebody who was very familiar with electric vehicles. So a friend of mine who was part of that team reached out to me and asked if I could help, given my experience with electric vehicles. And I said, yes, why not? I want to facilitate this. None of them drove electric cars, by the way. So I hopped on and consulted with them for about a year. And then back in November, they decided to bring all of their contractors on board. And I wanted to continue working with the organization, and hence I accepted a role in one of their infrastructure partners. There are 3 of us in the state, and we're engaged with various state agencies and county agencies to facilitate the mission. So let me tell you a little bit about Sustainability Partners. So first of all, it's a public benefit company. And what that means is that while it is a for-profit organization, it also has a legal obligation to generate good, public good for the communities that we serve. So there's this legal obligation. It's not just about making money for the investors. It's also about ensuring that we contribute to the well-being of the communities that we serve. And that guides the type of work we do, who we work with, and the type of infrastructure that we deal with. So we essentially are able to do this because, or the way that we're able to do this is we have to establish reliable, long-lasting partnerships with the communities that we work with. It's possible because the organizations that we deal with, we call them durable entities, are intended to last. They intend to be here forever, right? For hundreds of years. And the needs that they have are also very long-lasting. So let me go into a bit more detail here to share. First, our vision, and that's to enable permanently reliable and sustainable essential infrastructure for our communities. And I want to emphasize permanently reliable, because what that implies is that we not only deliver something, we ensure that whatever that something is maintained, it continues to perform and provide the benefit that it's intended to provide for however long that service is relevant. So what are durable entities? These are organizations that are intended to be there for the long haul, right? So municipalities, all the government entities we work with, universities, school systems, hospitals, large HOAs, and even utilities. So these are large organizations that are providing a public benefit, and they're expected to be sustained, and they're expected to be there for the long haul. Now, why focus on essential infrastructure? And this is sort of like my connection with SP. After working with them for a little bit and understanding the scope of what they are able to support, it was very clear that this challenge of critical infrastructure that's deferred, and this applies across the globe, is a massive opportunity, right? So if you're an investor, there's money to be made. If you're really caring about your community, there's a challenge to solve, and we need to figure out how to make it all happen. Because if we don't, what we're seeing today, right? We have crumbling infrastructure. Just here on this island, we've got a decades-old wastewater treatment plant that hasn't been maintained. And as a result of that, it's failing. And just about a month or so ago, it failed. So it discharged partially treated water into the wastewater into the bay. And there's so many communities there. There's the tourism industry that's dependent on that. And fortunately, it was partially treated, right? If it weren't, it would have been a environmental disaster. If that were to fail, you have millions of gallons of untreated water that would go into the bay, and that clearly would be a massive disaster. So what I'm saying here is that we have critical infrastructure that needs to be repaired, needs to be refreshed across the nation. In some cases, built brand new. For those that are not maintained because or crumbling because of deferred maintenance, we're seeing wasted energy. We're seeing wasted water. We have unnecessary emissions, right? Because if you're wasting energy, you're burning more of the stuff to make up for the loss. Clearly, there's an impact to the environment. You've got air quality issues. You've got water. You've got land issues. And then there are health and safety issues. They impact communities immediately if these things are to fail. So So that's the connection. It's like you've got this big problem. It requires a lot of money to fix. You've got investors, and the investors are the same investors that the bond market would go to. So there are pension funds, insurance companies, there are sovereign funds. There are these big finance investment pools that look for finance opportunities with the bond market. We go for the same pool of money, and these are investment groups that want to invest in infrastructure. They have a lot of money, in some cases negative returns, and they want to put money in a safe location, durable entity, and have that make money for them, cash flow them for like 100 years. So SP is in the middle of that. We facilitate all of that. So what is essential? These are systems, assets that are critical to our economy, to the environment, and society as a whole. So you think of bridges, roads, wastewater treatment plants, water systems, water meters. By the way, water meters are really interesting because we waste a lot of water across the US. We've got these really archaic water meters, but many of them have to be replaced. And there's also a lot of leakage. And water is expensive. It takes a lot of electricity to make the system work. So every drop you're wasting, you're also wasting energy. And there's the opportunity to upgrade these with high-tech water meters where you can actually more effectively monitor volume and also leakage. Energy systems, HVAC systems, elevators, boilers, broadband, lighting, even turf. So anyway, these are some of the assets that are being supported. And what we do is we essentially buy, we install, and we maintain the assets. So at the end of the day, we own the assets. So DOT, Hawaii Department of Transportation, they have a ton of vehicles that we provide. They don't own the vehicles. They also don't have it on their books as debt, but they operate it like it's theirs. That in a nutshell is what we do. We buy, we install and maintain the infrastructure. Our customers operate them as if they were theirs. Some micro detail here. I just have 2 more slides, and then we can go into Q&A. Zero upfront cost. So we pay for everything up front. We don't mark anything up. There's no balance sheet impact, so it's not debt on their books. Month-to-month contract. If for whatever reason, let's say a government agency decides, we came across a lot of free money from the federal government and we want to just buy the assets, that can be done and there's no penalty. So they just give 30-day notice. We value the assets based on the remaining useful life. They pay for it and it's theirs. And then importantly, the usage rates are based on revenue. If we do a hospital, for example, we tie the monthly payment to the number of patient nights. What that means is that if all of a sudden there's a black swan event and you don't have a lot of patients, you don't pay. It's not like your monthly payments stay steady all the way through. It goes up and down based on the usage of the assets. And lastly, there's no markup. SP gets paid by the investor, and it's 0.8% of the capital deployed. So it's less than 1% of the capital deployed. That's how the company gets paid. So we essentially just facilitate and orchestrate the movement of money, and we ensure that whatever's installed is maintained. Lastly, what are we doing in Hawaii? So we're in like 14 states with projects across the nation. But here in Hawaii, there was a contract back in 2020 with the Department of Transportation to facilitate the transition to zero-emission transportation. When they got that procurement out, they asked as many state agencies and county agencies to sign on. All state and county agencies, except for, unfortunately, Department of Education and Department of Water, have signed up for the contract. They don't have to use it. It's there. It's available if they want to use it. And many of the agencies are using it. So that contract with the state is for zero-emission transportation. There is movement for other types of infrastructure like wastewater treatment plants and other things along those lines. But that's future consideration. We have quite a bit to do, even with zero-emission transportation. And then we have a contract as well with Kamehameha Schools, huge private institution here, and it's a general infrastructure contract. So whatever they want us to do, we're able to do it with them. The thing that we're seeing with our customers is that they would much rather focus on getting stuff done, serving the community, teaching the community, versus worrying about infrastructure. We shift that away from them. They get to focus on, their core mission, their core services. In a nutshell, that's SP, Sustainability Partners. I'll stop sharing so we can do Q&A if you have any questions.
Thanks very much, Noel. This is fantastic and appreciate all the good work you're doing here.
I hope it addresses my absence. I feel so bad when there are all these meetings and I just don't have as many hours in the day as I used to.
No, I appreciate what you do, seriously. And
yeah,
you show up to an awful lot of meetings, so don't feel guilty. Ashley.
Ashley.
I'm just curious, what are some of the main motivators for a different company or organization to work with you? Is it just emissions targets, or are they also looking for cost savings? Since I know some of these things could decrease their costs. So I'm curious what you hear from people when you engage with them.
Yeah. So with HDOT, Ed's, we all know about Ed Sniffen, right? He's really focused on decarbonization. We've got the state goal. He wants to facilitate that, and he's also leading the charge because there's so much hesitation across the system, and he wants to shift that. Now, what that just means is that there's a focus on zero emission vehicles for the purposes of decarbonization, but at the same time, there's a realization that it's for us who drive EVs. It's very clear there's an economic benefit, lower cost of ownership. The fleet vehicles that we have with DOT, they have very minimal maintenance compared to the diesel and gas vehicles. So there is a decarb motivation with the existing state customer, but there's also cost. And then the other thing is, as I mentioned in the discussion, is that not every, money is short. There's so many things that the state would like to do. There's so many different services that need to be delivered, and there's just not enough funding available. So they typically would go with the bond market, but it's essentially just taking a loan, right? You take that loan out, and the moment you're issued the loan, payments start. With SP, because we're delivering a service, if it takes 2 years to construct whatever it is, wastewater treatment plant, the monthly payments don't start until 30 days after that wastewater treatment is commissioned. So there's a lot of advantages associated related to money, related to financing, related to the economics of dealing with this model compared to traditional bond financing. Keith?
Yeah, you mentioned Norway. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is extraordinary. Norway is a energy powerhouse at the top of the world, and they have managed to not only export a lot of energy, but involve themselves in a lot of social projects. I mean, even in the Faroe Islands, Norway extends to the far north. And they've made it very possible for the citizens of Norway to, own EVs. So, in terms of attracting the right type of investment, geothermal is right for Hawaii. We've done a lovely job with building out our wind and solar, but we are very, very well, the mostly fossil fuel dependent state in the United States, and literally, underneath our rubber slippers is a geothermal resource, and has sustainability partners considered speaking with the Norwegians, because this sounds like really something that that sovereign wealth fund would be willing to participate with.
So I think it's important to understand that that we work with the durable entities, right? So let's say a municipality. We have utility in there as well, right? That's a valid durable entity. If there is a need in, let's say, a community to establish a hypothetical geothermal power plant, and it's a state or county or utility owned and durable entity managed or operated facility, then it's a possibility. So it's critical, essential infrastructure. It would enable, renewable energy goals and all that good stuff. And what we would do is we would look for investors, because there are all these different investors out there that prefer certain types of investments, right? Certain types of sectors, certain types of customer types, certain types of assets. So we would farm that out. We would look for an investor that would be a match, and then we would bring that that arrangement together. So it is a possibility, and it may not necessarily be Norway. It could be a host of other investment groups.
Right. Well, I'll just put it out there. Geothermal Rising, which is an international conference here on Waikoloa Beach area, where there'll be the international conference this October.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have some discussions around bringing geothermal to Hawaii. I certainly believe Hawaii can be the Iceland of the Pacific.
I love your enthusiasm. We have Geothermal Rising this Friday, right, Pauhana, at Temple Bar. So we'll talk.
We do.
Talk then. Ron.
Yeah, Noel, I'm not quite sure how to phrase this question, but you mentioned the DOT is wonderful, and you also mentioned roads and bridges. And if we need to replace the Hakalau Bridge, for example, it's not a small investment. It's totally massive. And if you look at the state transportation improvement program, the main costs in that list are bridges for Hawaii Island. And so I guess what I'm wondering is the good folks at the DOT, if they want to get federal money, it's my understanding that they have to come up with a match, which is typically 20%. And the feds approve the project, give them 80%, and they got the cash. They, put it out for RFP, and a contractor builds it for them. I guess what I'm wondering is it possible for sustainability partners to take on a huge project like a bridge replacement and get enough money from their sources to do that and say, not only that, we'll paint it, maintain it for as long as you want. We'll only charge you based on the number of cars that go over it or whatever. How do you work with that existing system?
Yeah, so to answer your question, it is possible, right? We do have projects where our client, customer, has access to federal funds, but as you've indicated, 20% match required, and in many cases they don't have the 20%, right? I mean, we're talking about some of these projects are hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So we can do that. We can provide the match, and then we can also be involved in the actual deployment and maintenance as you just described. So that is possible. Now it's all about the government. It's all about the priorities that they have and their comfort with something like this, right? So this is something that can be done, and right now even DOT's got wastewater treatment plant projects that they need to address, but they want to focus on this project first. That which they have, it's a 10-year contract. They want to accelerate that. So that's their priority at this point. But to answer your question, yes, it's possible. Just a word on roads and bridges. And I guess just the asset in general, if it's manufactured, it's possible. So if you look at a bridge, several of those components of a bridge are manufactured, right? The beams and all that stuff, they're precast, they're manufactured. Now the pavement on the roadway, the asphalt or whatever you have on the surface, that typically, we don't consider that manufactured, but it's a small part of the project. So there's certain components of a project that can be covered, not all of it. Another example is, there is a desire somewhere to build a new development, 1,000 homes or something like that. The question is, can we do that? The answer is, what's manufactured? So, the infrastructure that goes into it, the lighting, the sewer, the electrical, But at the house, with the house itself, the roof, the windows, all of these things that are manufactured can be covered. So it's really fascinating because if it's manufactured, it's associated with an essential need, an essential asset, and it's needed by a durable entity. It's a possibility.
Okay. And just a follow-up second question, you know, in the problem that we have with a decrepit wastewater system down in Keaukaha, and we know that there is other entities such as Brittany Zimmerman's organization. Is there a timeline for RFPs on the wastewater treatment reconstruction or whatever it is being called? And is Sustainability Partners a player in responding to that need?
So we don't typically respond to an RFP.
Okay.
I understand that the responses were due like a week or so ago, so we should hear back soon from the county, what's transpired with that. But what we can do is we can work with the county, we can work with the contractor to facilitate part of it, right? The county can procure us directly. It would need a new procurement, so they would need to put a contract out. It would need to be bid upon, just like we did with the state for DOT. And if that's the route they take, then it's simplified. We can actually work with them directly, like we do with EVs. So right now, bottom line is right now the contract we have with the state and county agencies are related to clean transportation, fueling infrastructure, and any energy system that's required. So microgrids, battery, stationary storage, all that stuff. It's all covered. Anything beyond that would require new procurement.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Great work. Wow.
I'm cognizant of time, Paul. So I'll let you know. Let us know if you must transition.
Yeah, maybe we should. But found this fascinating, Noel, and love to actually chat with you more about this. I number of questions, but yeah, as you're saying, in the interest of time, move on. But thanks for making time and thanks for doing this presentation. Your third or fourth of today, so appreciate it.
Yeah, and by the way, reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you're thinking maybe there's an opportunity in your county to do something. Even if it's maybe remotely possible, we're happy to talk about it. I'll put my personal email in the chat here.
Great, thanks, Noel.
You're welcome.
Get us back to our regular scheduled program here. Assuming I can do this. Hey, it actually worked. Okay. So updates from the rest of the state here. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about this one, but I'll give it a shot here. So postcarding. I don't know if folks are aware, but Washington State has an initiative on its ballot that, if it were to pass, would do. Yep.
Sorry. Which slide are you intending to share?
Oh, okay. So it's not working.
It's carbon cashback on the screen at the moment.
Oh, crap. Okay, hang on. Get rid of the second monitor again. I can't seem to get this to work.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. Or annoys everybody. Hang on a second. Okay, so let's try this one more time. And hang on a second. Come on. Thank you. Okay, so it on the state level or kind of actions, should say chapter highlights or no?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't see anybody anymore, but okay, great. So yeah, the postcarding, so Washington has the initiative I was talking about, so that would repeal their existing cap and invest program. And so they have asked other states to help them in a postcarding campaign to send out postcards saying no on Initiative 2117. And so we've taken on about 500 of those postcards. Thanks to folks on the Big Island for taking over 100 of them. On Maui, Doug's daughter is, I think, has taken about 100. Thank you, Virginia, for letting this go all the way to California. And we still need to do our postcarding on Honolulu. And so I really apologize. I cannot see anybody, so speak up. Not sure what I managed to do here, but in terms of other actions, we had a meeting on permitting reform with Ben Pendergrass, who's one of the government affairs folks for CCL. So Ashley mentioned the work CCL has been doing on permitting reform. I know there's been some concerns from people. I would say right now, just be patient. We expect a decent amount of analysis to be coming forward that can be shared, which we're expecting will support CCL's position for supporting the recent permitting reform bill. Let's see. Also on Honolulu, anybody who wants to help out youth work on the Climate Future Forum event. We've had this for the last 2 years. We'll have it again at the Capitol. This is the one where we bring together legislators, nonprofits, and the youth to help the youth raise their voice around environmental policies. And this year we have the Hawaii State Energy Office is going to help out with this and turn it into kind of a bigger event, if you will. And Keith, I see the Resilience Fair there. You want to talk about that? I'm going to try and see if I can get this to work again. You want to say anything, Keith, about your?
Just real quickly, with this kind of power shutoff, this is kind of with our, Maui, Oahu, Hawaii utility, they've realized that, fire or some other civil emergency, it'll be necessary to actually, curtail, if not shut off the power. And they're telling residents now, please prepare. If you don't, you will likely sit in the dark with rotting food. So it's created a kind of a conversation, and I volunteered to go out at the Resilience Fair and explain many of the brought by the IRA and even some of our state initiatives in terms of like rebates, efficiencies, and we've been so lucky in this country to take energy, for granted. Many people are, shall I say, energy blind. They are, they just plug it in and they don't really think about it. It comes from where it's made somewhere, and we are, at the age of consequences. We really need to think about it more. And so I was out there, talking to the many, anybody who'd bothered to kind of stop by and show up. And I asked them if they're concerned about climate change and how they're thinking about their electrical dependency and what they could do, even financially. Maybe change out something that they have. So I think that's all I really need to say. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Keith.
Yeah, I have a comment, Paul.
Sure, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I just want to mention that Keith took on tabling at the HECO Resilience Fair all by himself. He gathered up the help. I helped him gather up some supplies and stuff, but he went up there and alone he led the charge. And he had, I think, a total right now of 43 electrification conversations with people, thanks largely to this wonderful initiative, to go on table. And the whole of Hawaii Island has 46 electrification conversations. 3 of them are mine, and the other 43 are Keith's. So, attaboy, Keith. That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you. And secondly, Paul, I'd like to just endorse what you said about postcarding, and a comment that I thought was wonderful. There's an organization many of you may get emails from called Climate Hawks Vote, and they send out quite a lot of emails encouraging those who get them to take certain actions. And one of their actions is postcarding. And they endorsed a particular Climate Hawk candidate recently in one of the down ballot July 30 primary elections. And that individual, after a recount, found that she had beaten her primary opponent by 39 votes. Get this, the count was 19,087 to 19,048. 39 votes made the difference. And I think Climate Hawks rightly says, gosh darn, we made a difference. So I think that's the lesson for all of us, that we can really make a difference. And Paul, thank you for helping us get all those postcards and help us get on the bandwagon there, because it's important and effective and significant.
Oh, thanks, Ron. Thanks for all you're doing. So question, can you see the slide that's Virginia's here with the editing, or are you seeing something different?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay. So go ahead, Virginia.
Okay. So media updates. We had a letter to the editor published that John wrote in response to the recent power outages, primarily on Oahu, and they were all to do with fossil fuel plants. So he talked about how clean energy is much more stable and reliable, and that needs to be our future. It was a very effective letter. And then our intern, Dama Wongchuk, who's at U of H on a scholarship program, she did an Instagram post about how climate change is driving up food prices. And she used this colorful graphic and really increased the number of people who looked at the post. From usually we get 4 or 5, and we had 178. So her ideas were really effective.
Bravo.
Yeah, thanks,
Bravo.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Thanks for leading the media team, right? I mean, been incredibly prolific with the number of op-eds, LTEs that have been printed. And thanks for working with Dama, and hopefully Jamin, sounds like Jamin's also helping out. So building up quite a team here.
Yeah. The next project is a video of why, so people could record a video like 45 seconds, why they joined Citizens Climate Lobby, and when they joined Citizens Climate Lobby. So it's a real quick project to do. Then they're going to put them all together and do a reel, like a little movie on Instagram. So if anyone is interested in recording a video, let me know, and I'm going to put my email in the chat. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention is that every month there is a newsletter published by the Carbon Cashback team. And then we do an Instagram post so people can also see it, that it's been published, and read it out on Instagram. So that is my report.
Okay. Thanks, Virginia.
And I'll put that. Oh, you're welcome.
I'll just go quickly through this so we can get to some other things. But carbon cashback, I think most folks know about that. And I'll just put in the chat all the Zoom lines and for the various meetings. And oops, let's try that again. And one of the meetings being Virginia is the media meeting here. So folks, anybody interested in media, helping with carbon cashback, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Then we have the general meeting. I think many of you are on that, the 1:30, and then the legislative at 2 on Thursday, and the outreach the first and third Thursday at 10. And speaking of outreach, thanks to everybody who's helped out getting various meetings. So we've got to meet with the Climate Commission, the Hawaii State Energy Office, the Governor's Climate Advisory Task Force, the group Care for Ina Now. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. So if folks are interested in pushing for carbon cashback at the state level, please join us at any one of these meetings, and got plenty of stuff for you to do. Okay, in terms of future events, already talked about postcarding. I don't know if, sorry, Ron or Keith or Noel want to talk about National Drive Electric Week?
Yeah, I can just quickly give an update on that. So if you click on the link there and enter your zip code to find an event, you'll find that there are events across the state. So we have one scheduled. They're all on the 5th of October. So Hawaii Island has one, Maui, Kauai. We're finalizing the venue, but there's also one on that island, and then Honolulu has one as well. So there are these events, and for Hawaii Island, there will be the opportunity to table. We need to secure the opportunity for the other events as well. So, yep, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm one of the organizers for that event.
Okay, and put those in the chat, the various links that are appearing here, or at least I hope you did.
Speaking of the chat, I have put in the chat a no on 2117. That is an initiative to roll back a huge amount of environmental and pro-social initiatives in the state of Washington. And this was generated by Jay Inslee and partners. Jay Inslee actually ran for president in 2020 on an environmental kind of program. And there's essentially, a billionaire that, doesn't like these. And I think we should know collectively about what this is about, and in some manner, just say no. We realize where we are, and we need to go forward. We can't continue to do what we're doing because it's just getting worse. So those who are interested in the know on 2117, go ahead and have a look at what's there in the chat.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks for elevating that. Tamara, I don't know, didn't ask you, but do you want to say anything about the Inclusion Conference?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I would love to say that the Inclusion Conference is not only a fantastic opportunity for those of you who might be interested in going yourself, but it's a really great way to introduce people in your life to CCL who may have a desire to know that we focus on inclusion in CCL. And so I would just encourage you to share this opportunity with your networks. It's free. People don't have to go to all of it. Last year, I think I listened to the Inclusion Conference while I was doing some weeding or working in my garden. So you don't have to be sitting in front of your computer to attend these events either. So I would just encourage you to spread the word and invite people to join you. Or if you can't make it, you can invite them to join on their own. It's a great it's a great introduction to CCL, among other things. And then also I just dropped in the chat something that I forgot to add to the agenda, which is I'm going to be running a webinar workshop on September 3rd at 5 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken, in my time zone math. On September 3rd, like I said, navigating climate and election anxiety, if you have any of that going on. So it's free. Again, feel free to invite your friends, and the link is in the chat. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Tamara. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
Tamara, will that last webinar that you just mentioned, will that also cover the need to kind of temper the exuberance and joy that, maybe too many people are feeling at the moment?
There's never a need to temper exuberance and joy, Noel. So no, we will not be covering that. I will be addressing the value of exuberance and joy for building resilience, however. So it is, life is like this, right? Like we may be feeling this and hopeful, and then something happens and we're feeling this. So even if you're not necessarily feeling it at the moment, feel free to come, or feel free to send people who may be feeling anxious. I've heard from some people that they're almost afraid to like hang on to that hope. So that can be, because we've had letdown in the past when we have hoped for things. But hope, I heard a really powerful quote today. I can't tell you the source because I just heard it once, but this very powerful perspective about how hope is, oh man, sort of,
Find it, put it in the chat.
It's a warrior stance in essence. Like it's a little counterculture. It's and it actually takes making a decision to be hopeful. It doesn't just automatically happen. So yeah, I can try to find that, but Brett just shared it with us this afternoon as recommended by Mark, but really powerful concept. So thanks. Good question, Noel. Good one. I like it.
Well, thank you. Helen, I know your long awaited time to say something. So I don't know if you want to say anything about the new group.
Yeah, and actually Gordon is on the call, at least he was. I can't see whether he still is, yes. But Gordon's really the one who's leading this. But there's a new HICA task force, plant-based lifestyle. And I have been just super impressed with who's showing up and how active everybody is. So this is not just Kauai, it just Gordon happens to be leading it. Gordon, I don't know if you want to say anything quickly about it. Maybe Gordon.
Yeah, we meet every week at 4:30 on Wednesdays. If you're interested, jump in. We just put up a website. We almost got a resolution and a bill passed, even though we just started last March. So it's an extraordinarily high-powered task force, and really impressed. And it's a lot of fun.
Great, thanks, Gordon. Appreciate it. Just quickly, if folks are interested in issues around deep sea mining and just the ocean in general, for those on Oahu, there's an event at the Bishop Museum on the 1st of September from 4 to 8. So I think, Mika, you're aware of this, I hope, since I know that this is an interest of yours. And if you're not, please feel free to email me, and I can. But I think the Eventbrite link should be in the chat if I did that right. So Ruth, speaking of election anxiety, if people don't know how to get their ballots or when they're coming or whatever else, go ahead.
Right, thank you. So this is just a slide about now that we've finished with the primary, the general election will be coming up, and the ballots will be coming to us beginning October 18th. So a lot of times people say, well, I don't know who to vote for or why I'm voting. And so these are some websites that can give you information about the candidates, about how to vote, and so on. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, the board statewide and the board on our island. So we have a website called Vote 411 that used to be information. It's a little old fashioned, I think. Vote411.org. And up there, you can just put in your street address and you can see what your ballot's going to look like. And then there's information about the candidates if they have submitted it to us. Then there's the Office of Elections for the state of Hawaii, and they have all kinds of information. And then Civil Beat has in-depth interviews with candidates if you want to see more about them. And the last little bit I added is in case the people, you're so active on Kauai, and there are a few people who are starting what is called a League of Women Voters unit. So it's not a formal branch of the League of Women Voters, but they will have the information from League of Women Voters and so on. But they're not going to apply right now for 501c3 status. So if anybody's interested, Helen, then please email Judith Wong, and here's her email address.
Thanks, Ruth.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, so Ruth, I don't know if you know, but that's the way Kauai operates. It's the same with the CCL chapter. They wanted to, be sort of a pseudo chapter for a little bit, but we brought them in. So I expect to see the same with League of Women Voters.
Well, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth.
Hey, Ruth, that image, cast your vote in comfort. Imagine if you had like a little side table there with some cookies and milk or a favorite beverage or something like that.
We'll get right on that, Noel, and add that.
I had pretzels and little mini chocolate chip cookies at the Resilience Fair. That helped to a degree.
Food always helps, right? Ashley, you want to talk about electrification stuff?
Yeah, so on the national front, our action this month is all about talking about electrification. And what I think is really interesting is the focus is not talking first about climate change. It's really just talking about electrification. And the three key elements are safety, performance, and affordability. And kind of getting to what Noel was saying earlier, some cost can be a very effective lever to get people to shift over to electrifying different elements of their homes or businesses. So if you go to the next slide really quickly, I encourage you to talk to people about electrification, and please record it on the National CCL website as well. So I think the current count is almost 2,000, and we have, 2/3 of the way through our goal of 3,000 conversations. I think Keith is single-handedly propping that up from a Hawaii standpoint. So please talk to your friends, families, neighbors about electrification. Keep an open mind and get really curious about what are they thinking about electrification. Are there certain elements they would want to pursue? And how are they thinking about kind of the safety element? So, your gas ovens are giving off bad things into your living rooms, the performance element, and affordability. So if you are able to actually save money, especially with all the rebates out there right now, you don't want to leave money on the table. So take a look at the URL. When you have a conversation, we'd love for you to just go to the URL and log it on the website. And so our Hawaii chapters can get some credit for our electrification conversations. So that's it for the National Climate Action Program for this month.
Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate that. Okay, a few other actions, and I'll put these in the chat here, links to these. We want to go, let's try that again. So there's the standard action sheet. I think, is the electrification on that one, Ashley, or is it a different one? Should I put a different link in the?
I was just looking, but I linked to the take action link right above your comment. So hopefully everyone has that link as well.
Okay. And then there's the environmental voter project. So it's been an ongoing effort that CCL supported to get folks out there to vote who have shown an interest in the environment one way or another and haven't voted or haven't voted recently. And speaking of old school or being, well, maybe I shouldn't say being, well, I will say being old, going back to what you said, Ruth, when you were looking at Ron, that, just kidding, you're on, that AARP it has a new, or is going to have a new executive director. And there's a campaign out there or a petition to urge that person to make climate a top priority of AARP. So there's a link in the chat that you can just simply sign the petition. And even young folks like you, Ashley, can do this. So, but anyways, I think there are a few of us that are of AARP age on this call. I know I am. So please, if you feel like it, just simply sign the petition, get the numbers up there, and hopefully it succeeds. Let's see. I think that's one thing I learned today, thanks to going to a meeting with Tamara, is that, and now where the hell did the link go? Oh God, Tamara, I may need your help here.
Okay, I'm standing in the wings.
Oh, I was supposed to copy the link. I think I screwed up.
Which one is it?
No, well, it's it's in the action tracker. I sent
that one to log your meeting.
Right, to do that.
I got it in the chat for you, Paul.
Oh, there you go. So, thank you, Ron.
Sure.
So I don't know, Tamara, you can do a better job than I, but it's important to log these actions, right? It really helps CCL. And Tamara, if you want to expand on.
Yeah, sure. There's multiple reasons to log your actions. One of them is that when you log your actions, you tell CCL that you are still interested in being involved. Over time, people who don't log their actions, we assume that you're not taking actions because we don't know that you're taking actions. And so by logging your actions, you're letting the organization know, yep, I'm still involved. I'm still interested in being on your mailing lists, because over time, when you don't log your actions, we assume that you don't want to be involved. So that's one reason. The other reason, from a sort of different perspective, is that when you do log your actions, we get to catalog and have an understanding of who's doing what and how many people are doing it. And our funders and potential funders really like to know that. So when we can say, hey, this many people are doing these things on a regular basis, or this month, or this year, then potential funders feel like their money is going to be worth giving to us. So you are actually, just by logging your action, you are helping CCL to grow and be sustainable over the long haul. So thank you for that, Paul. Great idea.
No, appreciate it, Tamara. And I just want to say, in the spirit of the conventions and everything, this meeting also went over time. So, but just be thankful that we're not, didn't go into the 11 o'clock hour, and not even for you, Virginia and Tamara. So
not even, almost. I do need to go eat dinner though. It's a 9 plus. Yeah.
Oh, Eric has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric. You're
muted.
Eric is muted. Unmute.
Just going back to where we started, I did do a quick Google. New Zealand did win the rugby gold medal, but it was the women, not the men.
Yeah. That's right. Yes. Now you remind me, Eric. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, with that success, I think we can conclude. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, all.
Thanks, everybody.
That's all you do. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, everybody. How do I stop the recording, Noel?
He left. So I don't know.
There should be go to the top.
Oh, there's a little button up at the top. I see it. Thank you. There it is.